Hi friends, it's Lisa Hetrick, illustrator for Gina K Designs, and I'm so grateful you could join me today. I have a really fun card tutorial I'm going to share with you today that is a little bit of a twist on the stamp kissing technique. And here is our inspiration. So let's go ahead and dive into our supplies. So starting out first, I have 4 Gina K Designs die inks that I'm going to be using. I have grass green, blue denim, ocean mist, and I have cherry red here. The glues and adhesives I'm going to be using are the Connect glue, the foam tape from Gina K Designs, and purple tape. My paper stocks are the blue raspberry Gina K Designs, and also the white layering white cardstock. And I have all of the information about the supplies listed below, including the size of the card base and the layering white that I'm going to be using today. So I'm also going to be using my You Anchor Me stamp set and the companion die set for today's project. So let's dive into the techniques for today. Since the anchor in the You Anchor Me stamp set is a solid, we are going to do the stamp kissing technique, but into the anchor and actually use the anchor to stamp to create the pattern. So what I'm showing here are some samples of what the anchor looks like when you do this technique with different inks. So let's take a look at the center one here. So I have used the Electropop inks. My base of the anchor was Blaring Blue, and I stamped into that base with the Loud Lime to create that really, really bright pattern. This one right here, I used Salty Ocean and Blueprint Sketch, the Distress Oxides, to get a little bit more of a softer quality, but you can still see that flower pattern inside the anchor. And the one right here on the left is going to be the main technique that we're going to do for today's card. And I use the Ocean Mist and the blue denim ink to create this pattern inside of the anchor. So let's go ahead and get started on making the card. So I'm going to start by putting the anchor inside of the Misty. I have the mini Misty here, and then I'm going to bend the outside elements of the anchor so that I can get it positioned to fit on my layering white piece of cardstock. I'm going to start by inking up the layer in the Ocean Mist and getting it nice and juicy. So with this technique, you want to work light to dark. Next, I'm going to use the big, bold graphic flower in the You Anchor Me stamp set. And I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with the blue denim dye ink. And I'm really getting it nice and juicy on there, but just tapping that color into the stamp. And I'm going to stamp into the anchor that has the Ocean Mist on it, right here on the Misty. And because the lines in this stamp are big and bold and graphic, I'm going to go around the whole anchor to create that pattern. And you can see how just kissing that stamp onto that layer, you can see the actual graphic elements, and you can also see the Ocean Mist color. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing this to finish up the anchor because I want the whole anchor to kind of have this line graphic pattern. I really like the contrast between the blue denim and the Ocean Mist. Love it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and close the Misty door and stamp the whole element down onto the layering white cardstock. And I really love this technique. It's a really easy technique to create extra pattern and dimension to your card without all the layers. Look at those beautiful layers of color. Okay, so now we're going to move on to stamping the embellishments for the card. So I have the large floral, I have the berries and twigs, and I also have the leaf elements. And I'm going to go ahead and just stamp this all down onto this piece of layering white cardstock. And then I'm going to add the dies to it and just go ahead and cut all these pieces out. So I'm using cherry red to stamp the large floral piece. And that large floral just is so crisp and clean. It's super simple to stamp with, and it's just a really beautiful, bold graphic flower. So here are the twigs and berries, and I've just lined them up on my stamp so that they're just a little bit of a distance away from each other so that I can get the dies around them. And I've got the leaf elements here, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp them down as well. And now I'm just going to attach and line up the die cut images, use my purple tape, and just hold them down and go ahead and run it all through my platinum, Spellbinders Platinum, to get these beautiful embellishments so that we can layer them on the card. I added a little bit of Gina K Designs Connect Glue to the back of that layer, and I'm just going to go ahead and assemble the card. We're going to pull it all together by adding the embellishments and the layers here. So got that glued down, and now I'm just going to layer the embellishments on top. And there are just a few because the anchor has so many great elements to it. It's already got this nice pattern in it that you really don't need a ton of things going on for this card. I am pulling 2 stamps from the set here to add just a little bit of extra color on the base layer so that we can layer the embellishments on top. So I'm using the wispy grass element that is in the stamp, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that down on both sides and just kind of nest it inside of the anchor element there. And this is just going to create an extra layer of dimension to the card without adding a ton of height, because we're going to layer the embellishments on top of it. And I've got this other little element here, another little twigs and berries, and I'm going to add that and flank it from the left to the right of where the floral is going to go. And again, it just adds a nice little base layer of that grass green color underneath that cherry red, and it's just a really nice contrast of color. So now I'm just going to pull the whole card together by adding the layered embellishments. I've got a little piece of foam tape underneath this bold flower, and that's just going to give me opportunity to go ahead and glue the berries and twigs up underneath the flower without just lifting the flower up if it was glued down. Just kind of nesting these little elements here just gives the card a nice little finishing touch. It adds a little bit of layers without a lot of extra texture and dimension to the card. I'm going to be mailing this card, and I really don't want to add a ton of height to it. So I am loving the clean and simple nature of this card. Okay, I want to add a little final touch with the Unicorn of White gel pens. I'm going to accentuate that center heart in the graphic flower. And I shared that I was going to be mailing this card. This is my niece, Emily. She just graduated from Navy boot camp this past Friday, and I'm so excited for her. I'm going to be mailing that card off to her to bring a little light to her day. So here's a final look at the card, and I am digging it. It's a really clean and simple card, but it has a lot of great pattern and technique in it. Love it. Here is a final look at the stamp set that's available with Gina K Designs. All of the links for the products I shared in this video can be found below in the description. I can't wait to see what you create. Thanks so much for watching. Please consider sharing the joy by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. And I'm sharing more card and watercolor tutorial videos for your inspiration right here. Come on in and take a peek, and I'll see you next time.